Hello everyone, I'm with Kalpana Mehta. Now, who is she? She is somebody who actually taught me yoga in the most beautiful way, and I'm one of a student. I know there are hundreds and thousands of them who would vouch for the way she teaches yoga. Because when she teaches an asana, it is not just a physical asana. It is so much more deeper that she takes us into a practice which is fabulous. I was a student who was wanting to be part of an assistant. Thanks to that assistance, today I'm able to be a lecturer. This yoga guru who's been under the assistance or I've worked a lot under, I would let her talk about that person who actually influenced her life and brought her into yoga. Thank you so much for being this beautiful sunshine in my life and thousands of your students' life, for being this beautiful angel. Thank you for being and sparing this time with us.
Thank you, Kitty, for inviting.
Yoga Guru, who is your guru and what made you become this person that you are today?
For me, whatever is good in me is because of yoga. Since that day, it was 3rd July when I joined the course in 2003, my life started changing. And then one thing I found, Hansaji and Dr. Jadev are my gurus, but the biggest guru is my anger. I used to get angry very quickly. And sometime, I really regret now that sometime I have slapped my children also. So, and after every this kind of anger and this kind of and behavior which is not acceptable to me myself, but still I was doing. So I thought, let if yoga has some power, and they say it has a power to change your personality, let me change first my anger. I want to be an angry personality. So I spoke certain things to my guru, and then they gave me certain techniques. And the one thing is good by the grace of God. Whatever I take up 100%. So
Yeah.
when they said you watch your breath even while rolling roti also, I followed it. So when I'm rolling chapati and finding that how is my breath running? In this way, I found that whenever I'm getting angry, before that, when the changes start coming in the hormone, before that my breath started fastening, little fast breath starting. So at that moment, if you just try to take few deep breaths and try to equalize the length of your exhalation and inhalation, you found a shift in your own, temperament. This is one thing I revealed. So for me, the breath watching, inhale and exhale, it is not just limited to inhale and exhale. It is something given me more awareness that how it bringing shift to my own mind. That was the first success, and for me, it's a siddhi. Because I don't talk about the third chapter of Yoga Sutra. For me, the siddhi is simply getting to know where the anger is entering into me. You know that? Then you can work upon that. So the second thing I found, when I am getting angry, I am very energetic. I do the work very fast. You know, because and yoga says anger is also a form of energy. And energy is not, it cannot be destroyed, it cannot be created, it can be only channelized. Even science says the same thing. So I can relate that science and the psychology of yoga. And then I started implementing. So whenever I am feeling that I am angry, I'm not willing to show my anger to anybody. I used to take up some work which I have to finish. I would have not finished from 1 week. So during the fit of anger, you're finishing the work very fast. For example, for a lady, maybe you're cleaning your house or you are just trying to write something, and you want to study something, and you have to learn something. Yes, in the fit of anger, you do that work, which you're not able to finish.
This is so
So that
interesting.
anger, which was making me very unpopular, even in my family, slowly getting used by me to do certain thing more. So this is the way my journey started. Of course, asanas were there, and then because of that, certain changes come in your own personalities, and few friends started asking me that, "What are you doing? You are a little different." And I said, "Yeah, really, I'm changing from inside. Even I experience sometimes." So this is the way my classes started, and sometimes God has designed something for you. So God has designed this yoga teaching as a earning also for me.
Right.
The shift happened here also, that the now I was not planning to earn. I was just planning to 100% to give to the people what I know. So here the giving became very strong. You know, I don't know, still I don't know when to stop to give. Sometimes students say, "Ma'am, the time is over." Na? Otherwise, they keep on giving. Even would have experience in the classes. It doesn't stop only, just continues like that. It's a flow. And then one fine day, I read somewhere that teaching or the guru is a parampara, it's a tradition, it's a light. It doesn't belong to you, it's flowing from eternity. It will flow till eternity. You are just a medium passing through you. And that gave me a very good, thought that when something is coming intuitively and you are giving, just let it go. And you find you are very much in solace, in peace. You experience contentment. So with me, my practices were also giving me to experience the philosophy and the, you can say, the concepts of yoga. So these concepts which people say the philosophy is written in the book, not possible in day-to-day life, I don't feel it's like that. If you're sincere, you are really sincere, you believe and you keep faith. If it is written by the sages or given by the sages without claiming them, they have just given us with so much of humbleness and humility. You just keep faith in them and try to practice them. It will happen. So the fourth thing came to me, like Dr. Jaydev said, if you really want to experience certain discipline in yoga, take up your practices, at least one practice at the same time every day, no matter what. And I chose time morning 5:30 a.m. in 2004 till now 2020. With God's grace, it fixed.
Wow.
So 5:30 is my time. Somebody has died, somebody's marriage, my own daughter's marriage, whatever is there. But 5:30 is my own time. Maybe for 10 minutes, but 5:30 sharp, my brain, my whole personality, my whole existence touches that time for me. So at that time, you really experience there's no time, there's no space, there's no causation. So that the sutra, when they talk about time, space, and causation, it really ends over there. Sometime I decide in my mind 20 minutes, exactly 20 minutes, you are out. So this is something very, very unique, which is something very absurd to you. You don't know these things are there in the world, but you experience. The same time, something I experienced, and I found somebody should give me answer of this particular experience. And nobody answered me, even not my gurus. Then I had a deep desire and craving inside. Somebody I should get someone who can answer me. What happened to me in this my half an hour, when I sit for myself. One fine day in 2011, I received a call from Himalayan tradition. And I was not knowing anything about that, except I had read a book of Swamiji, Swami Rama, Living with Himalayan Masters. And I thought, this person is a very great person. I should meet this person someday.
Mm.
And he's a Siddha. And when I reached there in 2012, invited by one of the disciples of Swami Rama, there I came to know that Swamiji has left the body in 1996. Till then, he was alive in me, thinking that he is still in the body. And one day I'll meet him. So when I asked this question to Dr. Prakash, he is my mentor and my father, you can say spiritual father. He's a guide, like Hansaji, he guides me. He said, there is a Samadhi room. You go inside, you will meet Swamiji. And I went into Samadhi room in a Himalayan Institute Hospital Trust in Rishikesh. And when I entered, I felt that somebody welcomed me more than my own father and made me sit there. For 4 hours, I was sitting totally still. No movement, only the tears and me, the tears of ecstasy. It was not tears of I'm crying or I'm sad or I'm very happy. It was just coming out. Then I came to know what is ecstasy. You are not taking any ecstasy kind of drug, but you are in ecstasy because of some grace. And that was the day my whole life changed. People started telling to me that your teaching is different. I don't know from where I teach. I teach from intuition. Because when a person is stand in front of me, I start feeling that person in my own body, in my own existence, that person and me is one. They both are one. So whatever pain that person gets, I start feeling that pain in my body. And then immediately from one asana, I give the other asana and people get good result. The best part, I forget that after that. People tell me write a book and I think what to write. So I tell people, please you keep on writing, because from where it comes, where it goes, Even I don't know. So, it's a very intuitive kind of teaching. And a certain time that one more grace is really showering on me. So that grace is like that. Okay, whenever I had a question in my mind and I feel that question is coming in my mind and I'm not getting any answer, the answer comes either through some books or some talks or Swamiji himself in my meditation, but the answer comes. So I request all the people that just experience the power of faith, experience the power of your own practice, experience the abundance which is already in you, you know. And I feel we all are limitless. And don't set up the limit for you, because I feel that I'm dissolving in all these things like a salt, because the water is limitless. Salt is little bit. So better like to dissolve in that, huh? And become like water. You spread everywhere. One thing is very important, which I always tell in the classes also. It's very, very important to practice with persistence, perseverance, and patience. Somebody's experience cannot be your experience. Your experience is your experience.
How about you
Na?
give us one experience right now?
Pardon?
Like, how about you give us one experience right now related to breath? You know?
Yeah, related to breath, the first thing is try to watch your breath the way it is.
So give us
The,
that right now, like the way you
yeah.
do.
So just if I tell Kitty, you just watch your breath. Watch your breath. What do you do? Tell me. When I say watch your breath, what do you do?
Watching my
You
breath.
try to. Yeah, no, not you're watching. You must try to inhale or exhale. One thing activity you try to increase or decrease.
Right.
Yes or no?
Okay.
Yes. You cannot watch your breath the way it is. You try to play with that.
Right.
Right. The second thing, which I say, when I say take a deep breath, what do?
Take a deep. I inhale.
You yes. But if I say now, when you just only you inhale, after inhalation, just check the length of your breath. Watch your breath and inhale and feel the length of your breath.
It's longer.
Longer. Now, when I say watch your breath, and then I say take a deep breath, first you exhale, then take inhalation.
Okay.
Change a pattern. When I say take a deep breath, usually we inhale, right? But when I say take a deep breath, first you exhale and then inhale and then see what happens. So do this exercise.
I think the inhale went much more longer, even though it was difficult to get that exhale first because it was too much consciousness that was needed.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
you found that when you exhale first and then you inhale, then your breath is longer, right? So you had to put effort in exhalation, but inhalation becomes very much easy. And as you are receiving it, you are not doing it, right? So this is one simple exercise which I had given to you. But you can take this exercise in lots of other things also. The first thing, if you empty yourself well, you can receive better,
Yeah.
right? So when I'm saying emptying yourself, the breath tells you that you empty yourself first. So and you empty your mind, your preconceived notions about impression about anybody else, or impression about new studies or new task you're taking. Maybe you failed in one exam, but to delete it and just exhale it and then try to do in a fresh way, you find efficiency is much more better. Yes. So emptying yourself is very important. So this emptying is the first step of yoga. Learn to be empty. So in my classes, when the person comes, I jokingly ask them, from where you have learned? So they will tell me this place, that place. Then I say, I will take this much amount. And the other person says, I have not learned from anywhere. So I said, I will take this amount. Then person says, why you charging the freshy one less and to me more? Then I said, because I have to first empty you, then I'm to fill in you. I have to put double effort.
Yeah.
So this simple breath tells you that emptying is very important. Now, The other thing is when you put extra effort, right? Extra effort, not keeping yourself in ease. So in first breath, you have not kept yourself in ease. You tried to take more, right? And then there was the effort,
Right.
right? So when you are not keeping yourself at ease doesn't mean you just don't do anything or you be lazy or procrastinate. Ease means you just try to accept yourself at that moment. I'm like this, right? And then you inhale, you'll find your inhalation is better. So when you are a doer, you think I am doing, right? I am the one who has to take up all the responsibilities. I am the only one. Then you find the efficiency is gone. But if you feel that way, if somebody's grace is there, so I'm able to do 100%, right? I can do the best because some grace is there on me. Then you find efficiency has increased without any tension, right? So this is the way you learn one more thing, that gratitude. So your breath teaches you gratitude,
Yeah.
right? The next one more thing teaches you. When we are saying to do something, first we think about getting, about receiving, right? How much I'll get. If some job you're going to apply, what you see the first, how much I'm going to earn, right? How much the salary here. Or when I take up some class, we try to see how much amount we can charge, or something like that. Or we go for some course, we inquire. Inquiry is fine. You should inquire. 100% you have a right to inquire.
Right.
But you cannot say this is not going to give me anything. If it is giving you some influence in the mind, you must go ahead because it's your intuition. It's telling to you to receive. But we do not try to just experience what is the power of giving, which is much more than the power of receiving, right? When you give more, you empty more, you get more. So when without emptying, if you try to receive, you will not receive 100%, even in day-to-day work also, right? So this is the philosophy which your breath tells you. But why we are not able to understand all these things? Because we are not conscious about the self. See, this is why when you're not conscious about the self, you're just compulsive. How can you know about deeper essence of your own personality, which you are? Because we all are born with a special quality. You would have learned, you would have heard a saying, God has given everybody a special fingerprint, which doesn't matches to anyone in this world, right? When one thumb or one finger have this capacity, which is unique, then imagine this whole, it's so unique. है ना?
Yeah.
But we do not try to understand that uniqueness. In my case, I found this kind of uniqueness in me, which I don't judge and don't try to analyze and find out in me. It just comes out, which is already in me, which will come out if you'll allow it to come out. So this is one thing which, when you exhale and inhale and try to understand the deeper realms, you'll reveal so many things. I have given only 3 things to you at present, but
Yeah.
so many other things. Watching breath, when I said watching breath, here forget about exhalation and inhalation. This is said in yoga that inhalation and exhalation are the two guards of your life, right? They are guarding your life. Till the time you are alive, these are the two guards which will help you to reach to your purest consciousness, right? They are the only two things, inhalation, exhalation, which are the only medium and which are the only in your voluntary control where you can reach to that deeper realm. The first thing. So they are already there. You don't have to put effort to take inhalation or exhalation. They're already there. When I say watching your breath, take your attention here and just feel the touch here. So close your eyes and just feel the touch over there. And then see this in, I will give you just 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, try to experience what changes comes in your own personality, in your mental setup. And slowly open your eyes and you tell your experience. Open your eyes when you are ready. First of all, are you willing to open your eyes or not?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna. I wish this was not getting recorded. I didn't feel like opening my eyes.
Yeah. So this is one simple thing, simple place where you just watch your breath, and you will find you are connecting to the inner world. Every human being is a citizen of two worlds. One is outside you, one is inside you. The outside world has limitations because you perceive them from the limited senses. But inside world is unlimited because you perceive by the unlimited source of mind, right? Physically, you cannot go to Paris at this moment, but mentally you can go. You can go to Alaska also mentally. Yes. So your mind is very much expanded. In which angle, in which dimension you want to expand, you can expand. So when you go to inner world, you expand your mind, and this expansion is amazing, which can take the help of this watching breath here. If you want to know more about it, see, God is so great and very kind to us. We have three lines here. Two are protruded and one is depressed. So when you exactly with the concentration, you can exactly focus on left side line. You will find the deeper relaxation, deeper kind of that intuitive ability, deeper meditation. And if you connect to this side, you find you can activate it. You can do all the active work in the outside world. But if you want to fathom the deeper realm, then you have to realize the depression. So one is right is Pingala, left is Ida, and the center is Shumna. So initially, when we try to watch your breath, this is the whole area. But when with this practice, you can go more deep, just focusing at one line at a time. And this is the way you can shift your mental states also. So everything is in you. The problem is we are not aware. And maybe we are not that much, deeper practitioners. Journey is limitless. I don't know how much journey is remaining, but at least keep faith in that journey. On how, in my case, I feel this is the path meant for me, and I keep on walking. Sometimes I'm fast, sometimes I'm very slow, sometimes I'm just standing, not able to take one step. But 100% faith is there. This path is meant for me, and in a holistic way, just not physical exercise. If you want to exercise physically, it's okay. Exercise physically also, but try to get complete essence of your physicality. Just don't limit yourself to superficial muscle or the gross muscle or just the fat. Try to know everything. What happens to me when I do this asana in all the dimensions? When I, how my body reacts, how my physiologically I am getting improved, how my mental thought process happens, how my breath happens in this asana. Try to get everything about in holistic way in that asana. Nothing's wrong. Maybe one asana will take you some greater heights, but we do everything very, very, very superficially. We do not try to go in depth of that particular asana also. I never use the word exercise. I never use the word you do yoga workout. No, because yogasanas are meant for something else. No? You can call, people call it yoga exercise. It's okay, for them it's exercise. For me it's a asana, it's a posture. It's a posture where all the seven systems are aligned. No? The postures are meant when you align your at least three bodies, your physical, your mental, and emotional. They come in alignment. When they come in alignment, you go deeper. You can go ahead. You can know more deeper things about you. So that alignment is important. How you just watch your breath. If you sit correctly and watch your breath at this place, you will try to reveal something more about it. And the best part is this revelation is not somewhere else, it's within you. You don't need anything. You are under the tree, you are in the house, outside the house, anywhere. Maybe sometime in the bus stop when I'm tired, I just watch my breath here and I feel my tiredness is gone. No, nobody knows what I'm doing. So it's a beautiful, beautiful way of living life. It makes your life fullest. If you are the best partner, you start knowing about your own self. This is the thing which disturbs me. This is the way when I think I get disturbed. This is the way when I eat, I get disturbed. This is the way when I sleep, I get disturbed. You know the reason of your disturbances. So when you know your reasons, one fine day you will find out how to sort out those reasons. So this is the way this is the way journey is going on and on. Sometimes my children, they make fun of me. sometimes they make a birthday card for me and they write Satvik, Tamsik, and Rajasik. When you're receiving this card, which of state you have this moment. But that gives me a little deeper insight. Let me find out where I'm Rajasik at this moment or Satvik at this moment. But then they create lots of fun of me that
I think, I just want to say this to you right now that I didn't have to ask you anything, but you just kept giving, giving, and giving. And there is so much that I learned today, even though I've been in touch with you for 3 years now, about these beautiful, how breath is your guard, about your own life. It's so beautiful. And I've never, actually, when you did this, I was so introverted. Like, I just wanted to stay in that space. It was so beautiful. So I think thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Big, big win.
I thank you so much, Kitty, because
Because-
these things hardly anyone listens. So I thought, let
See the
me got a
magic.
platform and
Just see the magic that you'll create, because I think that's why I said that you are beautiful sunshine angel, because sun is constantly lighting up this universe without saying anything. It does its job, and that's what you do. And to have such a beautiful teacher like you who wants to give, just completely give. And even right now, I know we could go on and on. You also have a class, I know, just because of this time constraint.
yeah. Just before ending up, I want to tell one more thing to you. You
Sure.
said giving. The giving is not important. How you take is important. I show like that. This is called patrata in yoga, right? So you can give, a person can hold that much only. How much the patrata is, how much you have the power of receiving. So for me, giving is not important. Receiving is very important. So that's why every student is very important. And every student is that gives me a creation, that this kind of creativity. How much I should give so they can perceive. That they can take, they can receive it, and they can implement it. How to give. So it's greatness of the receiver.
Wow, so humble. But I loved that you brought yoga and you covered almost everything, whether it was physical, emotional, and I love the fact the way you used and you shared your own vulnerability of how anger can actually be even used as a tool, which is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Kalpana ma'am, for doing this and removing this time out and being the
Yeah.
best yoga teacher ever for me. Thank you for explaining.
Thank you so much, Kitty, and boosting my own, not ego, but something in me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye. Best wishes to everyone.